That's what it is, though. It's like we always think, and you just picture yourself being an 80-year-old man and whatever technologies are going to be there. The kids of nowadays, they don't know how hard it was. We had to wait 15 minutes for the Uber Eats driver to drive all the way to our house. And we could see where he was and it still wasn't there.
It didn't just appear.
100%. And we're going to be like, the kids of these days will never know that
They'll
struggle.
never know what it is. It's like picking up your phone and having to press
I wonder
3
what
buttons.
our kids are going to be like, how impatient they're going to be.
Oh,
Because
you have no
we
idea.
know how impatient we
Yeah.
are. We'll start a business, and if it hasn't made $1 million in the first month, we close it.
Yeah, you're like,
you know?
fuck it. Let's do something else.
But it's already happening now, because there's that whole thing that the 70s, speaking about the 70s in the 90s, is the same thing as speaking about the 90s today.
That was the 60s.
The 60s,
bro. That's
yeah.
even scarier.
Yeah. So you think about, you say like, oh, what makes you impatient? And they're already making things like, do you remember being this old when there was dial-up internet connection?
Yeah.
Like, you guys obviously remember that.
Yeah, and now you just click a button and it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that whole ongoing meme of where someone was like looking at pixels and it's meant to be porn. And they're like sitting there looking at pixels on a screen, like, lights up, and they're like, oh my word, can you believe the graphics?
Dude,
Yeah.
it literally was.
Yeah.
Have you ever played like a video game? Like, I remember this game called Desert Storm, and it was like those days, like, what was that, like?
Is that the
12?
one where the car like had to like flip
No,
it
it
still
was
drive?
like an army, like it was like the old Call of Duty. Like,
okay.
yeah, I was 12 years old, and bro, you could like run in 3 dimensions and shoot, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude,
Like,
you remember playing like the first PlayStation, like, how can graphics get any
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, how? What could they do?
Look how
I
realistic
can
this
already
is.
see his eyes and his mouth. Like, that's enough.
That's a
I
human
can
right
tell
there.
it's human. No doubt about it.
They'll never get better. And-
Yeah.
But that's what people are saying now. They're looking at 4K and they're like, how can it get better? And then there's
I got
8K. But it keeps
How
going.
can it
But
get
can
better?
can we do better than 4K without faster Wi-Fi?
No.
Can we?
Nothing matches.
Yeah.
Like that technology.
Yeah,
moved
like
a bit
that's
too-
yeah.
that
That's
was
a
the
bit
easier
fast.
technology to get to, but now everything's got to catch up.
Yeah.
It's
But
like-
also, we live in a country that's very hindered by all this kind of stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the States, their lines on average are probably way faster than ours. So
But
4K
even
is
so,
like
bro,
consistent.
Like, people are recording on these crazy cameras, and who actually goes on YouTube and says, I need to watch this video in 4K? Like, no
Never.
one. And even if your
Yeah.
Wi-Fi was fast enough, to your eye on your phone, it's not making
Your
a difference.
phone's not 4K.
Your phone's not 4K.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I watch, I downloaded the Formula One app the other day, right? And I got myself on a subscription, so I can like click the different race drivers and go into their cameras, like whenever I want. It's pretty
So
cool.
do you feel like a race car driver?
No, hear me out. So
It's the reason he won. Josh
Yeah.
was there in his ear. Hey, race a little bit faster.
Yeah,
Take that corner a
I
little
am
bit
in the
tighter.
car.
It was me. It was me the whole time.
Yeah.
yeah, now you made me lose my train of thought.
No,
Fuck
tell
you,
us.
Mark. No, fuck you. I forgot what I was talking about.
You were
fucked
streaming
me.
on your phone in 4K.
Oh yeah, streaming on my phone. There we go. So once you go 4K, it's difficult to go back. I'll be honest. No, it
So
is.
What were you watching?
I was watching on my I was watching on my phone.
But
on
your
my
phone's
phone.
on 4K.
So is it lying to me?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
See, there we go. You're
see.
very impatient, bro.
I see.
Can't even wait for something bigger.
I
Go to
can't
Steve
believe
Jobs.
how can they make a YouTube setting for 4K and they don't have the devices to be
That's
able
what
to
I'm
deliver?
Yeah,
saying.
well, there's 4K monitors. Like if you watch YouTube on your TV, it's
But you
4K.
got, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
4K. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it can't render 8K on the Wi-Fi fast enough
8K.
for 8K TV.
Oh yeah. Well, some can, but very few.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it.
Can
but,
it do it in the States?
Depends on. I mean, there's
Depends
some.
whose Wi-Fi it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
It's all
they
it
could
all
have
depends
the
on.
same speed as us.
Yeah.
Just
I
paying
mean,
a lot less.
It's a big place. There's definitely places out there where they're still holding up tinfoil to try and get signal from cell towers to flip and just
Yeah.
download a song.
Do you have the
true.
rednecks,
Yeah.
bro?
Your Spotify down there is the guy with the bottle down at the creek that's blowing into it still.
Listen to us modern children talking about technology as if it's like a problem. Meanwhile, people are out there that don't even know.
Well, we have lived through it all. Like, we're the generation who got to like throw sticks at stuff and throw a rock. And these people these days don't even know what a rock is.
Does it not scare you a little bit that maybe one day like your children are never gonna play in like dirt the way you used to?
No way.
Or, like,
My
do
kids are
that
going
shit.
to go to boarding school, bro. Same as me.
Send them off.
I know what I learned there was worth it.
What did you learn there? What was one of the biggest things you learned in boarding school?
How to play with sticks.
How to play-
And I know what a stone is. And I need my kids to know.
First of all.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was fun. I learned how to be alone. And how to get bullied and then not go to your parents.
I feel like you don't need boarding school for that.
Yeah.
You could do that anyway.
Did you have to learn how to like finesse the older guys? Above you.
Finesse them.
Finesse, not finesse.
Finesse them. No.
Good answer.
I would definitely hope not.
I haven't got that far yet.
No, I just kept getting bullied. I didn't learn that much.
He's just gonna tell his kids, like, look, I didn't learn these skills, but I'm just gonna let you guys on a
Forced
secret.
upon you.
It's the finesse. It's all about it. You find the biggest guy in that school and you finesse the shit out of him.
What does that mean, Dad? I was Joss. He does it well.
Oh, fuck.
It's like a prison talk. You go to the biggest guy, you walk right up to him and you finesse the shit out of him. Tell him his eyes are beautiful. You've never seen blue eyes in your life.
I'm grateful that I didn't go to boarding school. I think I would have
Really?
hated it. Yeah. I used to like come home on like outdoor adventures and stuff. I used to like hate not being home.
No, I didn't like those. But like, for me, it was
There's
like,
obviously two
I had
different
no
types of people.
choice. Yeah.
You enjoyed it. Some will
Yeah.
enjoy it and some will just do not like
There's
it.
plenty of people that say it was a living hell, and there's other people that say it
Dude,
sorted
most
me
people
out.
I went to boarding school with enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them wanted to go back. Like,
Yeah.
often. Bro, like, it would be like they didn't want to go home for that weekend because we were doing this that weekend.
Really?
Like, that, they made it sick, bro. And like, like for me, when I was in day school, I was in like grade 3, and we moved to Joburg. I chose to go back to boarding school because while I was at day school, then the boarders had like a different bond. Like, it was like the friends you make in boarding school are not like the friends you have at day school. You know what I mean? So like, you always feel like left out. So like, I chose to go because I was like, I finally get to be a part of that.
But
and then from
didn't you
then,
miss, like, don't you feel like you missed out on like the girls?
no, I was at a.
Oh, was it a co-ed?
Yeah.
Co-ed
my whole
boarding
life.
school. Oh, okay.
co-ed
Well, then I
boarding
missed
school
out.
from
I
grade-
really fucking missed out. Where was I?
Yeah, it's from grade 3
I've been
till
living under a
grade
rock
8.
this whole
Yeah.
time. You've been playing with it.
Dude, 100%. I didn't go to boys' boarding school. If I enjoyed it that
Smart
much,
move. I should have known it's Michael
Yeah.
Tones. Of
Yeah.
course, he fucking went
No, I
to a co-ed
literally
boarding
told
school.
my parents, like, go ahead, please.
At 3 years old.
At 3 years
You
old.
already knew.
Please, mom. Make sure they go.
But if you think about it now, you talk about like going back to kids and how we look at those things. Are podcasters now like the writers of yesteryear? Because back then you couldn't just record yourself. So like you wrote it down, then you became Shakespeare. Or like podcasting, is that like the new writing?
Yeah, that's so true. Hey,
No, the thing is, bro, like, this is getting people together. Writing didn't get anyone together.
But like oftentimes back then you wrote to make plays and then people came to watch the plays and you told the story.
Yeah, but you're still one person
Yeah.
getting your ideas down on paper. This is like a whole new like concept.
Yeah.
It's cool because you creating content that could have been one book.
Yeah.
It's like co-writing a book with
Yeah,
5 people, but then you had to be an academic.
Yeah.
Like this, you can't just be a dumb, I don't know, talker.
Yeah, we're proving
it
it.
is like
Just talk shit. You could be us making a podcast.
it is like co-writing a book because people nowadays they don't have the time to read. Like think about it. To
No,
find the
as
time
you-
to read
it
is
comes back
difficult.
to shorter attention span.
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
It came around. Yeah. I thought you were going,
We got
but
there, we
it
got
did.
there. Bring it
Yeah,
back.
you're right, bro. Like, it is like no one has the time to sit
Yeah.
down and read a book.
So they're moving to
It's
podcasts.
the very few.
Yeah. But I mean, you're sitting in traffic, you can listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
You're doing anything that
And that's dedication. Like,
Yeah.
you think about it, bro. Like, we're so blessed with like being able to get everywhere so fast. But like, it's how you choose to use that time is even more dedication.
Yeah.
'Cause now you could just play music and just let your brain zone out again.
Yeah.
Or you could put on something. And it does take more concentration, more effort to listen and pay attention to someone talking
Yeah.
than it does to just put on your favorite
100%.
playlist.
Like
and-
you can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna put on a podcast because I'll feel better about myself.
No.
You're gonna be like, I'm putting on a podcast because I actually want to learn
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
you
you
know?
actually
not like because this is what I should be doing.
Yeah, but in the old days, if you could just flip a switch and listen to the book, bro, people would be like, how dare you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
I wish my kids would just read books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's become acceptable to do things the
Podcasts
easier
are on
way.
the same level as books right now. Like, these are the podcasts I've listened to in the last week. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And
100%.
Well, I
normal
still think
people
there's
is-
huge room for growth in podcasts, whereas books is kind of like, I mean, do you think books are dying out? I mean, Amazon started because
No.
they were,
I don't think
They-
books
they
could
were-
ever die out because
They
the
can't.
way that you can articulate in a book in the written word.
No,
Because
no, I'm saying
always-
compared to like a Kindle.
oh,
No
you mean
way.
physical book?
Yeah, like
Dude,
nah.
the thing is, there's this reward. We
physical
talked
book.
about it the other day. Like, there's this reward you get at the end of finishing something.
Yeah,
Like,
when you close
you've been
it.
holding this thing that seems so far away, and it's like by the time you get through that book, it's like, I finished it. And you get to put that thing aside and say, like, you get to add to your Kindle. The fuck's ever going to see the books
you
you've
get
read?
to put the book up and look at it and be like, I read that.
But
You pack your shelf and you're like, fuck, I know all of that. If you read your Kindle.
But aside from that, I mean, you've got Books app on your phone. Have you ever opened it?
Never.
It's there. Never used it.
No,
No,
I would never
you
use
still
that in my
watch.
life.
I mean, students oftentimes still read off their laptops, but more than probably half print out those things, even though they get given them in soft copies. They still want physical things.
I used to print out my whole semester's papers and keep it in and take the whole fucking file to uni with me, bro. I used to keep that file. So if it was that day, like it was that subject, I'd put the file in my bag and bring it with. Like, and most people whip out their laptop and they go to that page. I just couldn't, bro. I want to highlight, I want to draw on it, and like just reading it on paper feels it feels real.
But how long have Kindles been around for? And books are still pumping.
Pumping, bro.
Kindles aren't. I mean, they're definitely making
How
money.
are people selling millions of a book in this day if there's technology everywhere? If books were to die out, there would be a slowing down of books, but there's not.
Yeah, I guess also the one advantage of books, like if you have the books in your house and you've got them all sitting up there, if they're on a Kindle, you're never ever gonna try. You're never gonna be triggered to remember what you read.
Yeah,
You're never triggered.
Yeah,
100%.
Like, oh, I remember, this. Whereas if they're sitting
but it's also lending it out.
there, you can walk past.
yeah.
them.
No, I 100% agree.
How often are you like, I read this book, it's so cool, like you have to read this. If it's a Kindle, you can't be like, take my Kindle.
I found this thing on Kindle. You should download.
You should go pay
it
for it.
just doesn't have the same ring to it.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
That's what it is. It's tangibility. Like tangibility does have a value. Versus I mean, you can
going and buying a physical thing that is now yours.
But
like you owe it to yourself
Yeah.
to read that thing.
But this is also, again, like my difficulty with understanding, because to me, tangibility has value.
Yeah.
But now with like NFTs coming out and them trying to say that, okay, well, this is for us to show that we can, that value is not only tangible. Like that is what I don't understand. I don't understand.
From our perspective, I reckon NFTs are only going to kick off once they figure out a tangibility to it.
Yeah.
Because right now, as far as I understand, and I am an ape, it works off. You make a payment and you get the original. Doesn't mean that no one else has any copies of it. You just have the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but I'm thinking like, crap, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to get it for free. I don't want to pay big bucks for it. If I can get it for free, I don't care if I don't own that.
Imagine everyone has a Mona Lisa hanging in their house, and the one guy's like, "Oh, I've got the real one." You're like, "Yeah," and
so like, NFTs are just perceived value
at the moment, but it's that
You were speaking about this the other day.
We were, yeah. It's that next step, like when you can do transfers of houses, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Where you can.
You're
have
talking about an art
digital
gallery.
copy.
That runs on it.
So basically, because I will never do this, because we don't live in a country that can, I'll say
but
it.
It
So
would
someone
be very
could go off
successful.
and do this. What I reckon you could do, which would be incredibly cool, is you put up like a digital art gallery, right? So you put up digital frames all over this wall, like in the middle of nowhere. And people can walk around, and if you want that piece of art, you scan like a QR code and you NFT it, and you get the only copy of that code.
Wow.
So that brings in that exclusivity. So you're the only one in the world with it.
That's
and
a
you
very
get to
modern
see it.
art gallery.
Cool,
Yeah.
Wow.
But dude, you'd bring in huge clients.
So
huge
and the
clients.
people walking in there and scanning, bro. Like that image you get,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you in there and you don't give a fuck. You scan a code and you're paying like $100,000 for it. You know what I mean?
It's also that
It's so cool.
That is pretty cool.
it's perception though, because like right now, an NFT guy could be someone at the top of a penthouse in New York, like suited up, rich as anything, buying, or some kid in his basement leaned up against his chair, sweating there on a website, buying an NFT.
Yeah.
Makes no difference. Like
Yeah.
there's no allure to it.
Yeah.
But if you did that, you're making it like elusive, and people will just spend money when
No,
something's elusive.
100%.
It's modern art.
Yeah.
Like that's the way they've kicked off
That
modern
is
art.
modern art
Yeah.
to the next level. That's
Yeah.
like the next step they have to take.
Yeah, it's like a performance.
They have
art
to take
almost.
it. It's like what he said is like it's funneling to that point. It has to.
It's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
just about when.
Yeah.
Like, imagine. Do you know what's so cool though? So if you can figure out original copies and like for whatever reason it can't be shared, imagine artists. How many artists sit with backlogs of music? They're like, this is not good enough to release. I don't want everyone to hear it, but they could sell it up for so much that someone's like, I've got the original recording version of the song.
Yo, and he's the only one.
Only
Yeah.
one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. for however you encrypt that file, no one else can
Holy
ever hear
shit,
it.
Josh. You got to take this, boy.
I'm going to take it.
It's
Don't
going
release
there.
this.
Think about it, bro. Like, you can have like 5-second snippets of it, right? And you can say like, you'll be the only one. They can release it if they want as like your only copy and charge to do the same thing almost. You know what I mean? They could be like, I'm only selling 10 originals. You know what I mean? And then they sell it for twice the amount.
Yeah.
It could just
It's a crazy
spread like
concept.
that.
Yeah.
It baffles my brain a little bit, and I think it's gonna.
Dude, a platform. I think we should stop talking because I just thought about
Don't say
something.
that. But one thing I'm curious of, right? So we spoke about tangibility. It's just something I thought of. No one wants CDs. No one wants records. Well, okay, not no one. There's few people. But Spotify is massive. How did books not end up in the same way? Because it's the same thing with music.
They did. Books transferred, like we said, into podcasts because books weren't easy enough to just. It's like Kindle.
Yeah, but I'm
Like
saying
you can't
like,
just. It's a huge thing that is. You're only selling one book that takes how many weeks to read.
but I mean,
You know what I mean?
it must be an on-demand thing. Maybe it's because it might be the case that because it takes longer to read a book, like you can have a backlog, whereas music you want on demand and it's short and it's concise. Because there must be a trade-off with music that getting it on demand is better than having it tangible. Like if you lose your account, whatever, you lose all that music.
Yeah.
Essentially, you lose it.
Yeah,
You don't have a CD to play with.
it is true.
But
Or
you're
your
willing,
computer crashes.
but you're willing to make that trade-off because of the on-demand. So why have people not got that with books?
with books.
But it might be because books take longer and it's a more in-depth, whereas music you need on that minute. Like you want to hear that song.
Yeah.
Whereas a book you can read. Because I was thinking like with a song, with
It's numbers. It's numbers.
yeah.
In the same amount of time, you'd sell one book at that cheap rate.
Yeah.
Right. That person's only buying their next book when they're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But music, they've just listened to 1,000 songs in the same amount of time, and now you get to make money off all 1,000. You know what I mean? Instead of just one book.
Yeah. Because I was
It
just
is the numbers game. It's always a numbers
It's not always. I think it's not always for the people. It's also the big dogs at the top that are like, okay,
How
this
much can I
industry,
make off
this
one
industry
book?
is evolving, and you know it costs money to press records, for example. And so how do we make it more cost effective? Okay, we create a digital streaming service, and they learn how to monetize that. So it's not okay. We're making music extremely accessible for people.
Yeah.
They just like no. We need to cut costs, make
there's
more
no
money.
cost involved, except for setting up the site.
Exactly.
Do you know what's interesting though? So
All
like
the business move.
things, for example, like PlayStation games, right? Discless. Most times. Like you just download them now.
Yeah.
Same cost, if not higher.
Yeah.
They've got to have no factories, no manufacturing, and they're still charging you. How?
Yeah, and
That's why I
all
say
they
it's
get
not
sent,
always
no
for the people.
logistics, no anything.
Nothing.
They just get sent the main copy,
Yep.
and they buy the rights for who knows how many fucking million, and then they just,
And people are just...
hey, you can download it from us, but there's no cost.
Yeah.
They're just giving access to a download.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's also...
Yeah. Fuck you, Microsoft.